Hello and welcome to the Boat Shed. My name is John and this boat behind me is Antidote. I'm an engineer and a sailor with the dream of fixing up this old boat to go sailing around the world. And I have a lot of work to do first. Now maybe you're like me, you might have a boat and you are always worrying and wondering about how things are going out there. Maybe it's at the dock, far from home, or at an anchorage and you're just over the hill and can't quite see it. Now there's a lot of devices that will monitor your vessel and send you alerts to your phone, but the cost is out of reach for a lot of us. Now is this little white box going to change all that? Stick around to find out. This package showed up the other day. It's from Roam Devices, and this is their Marine Monitor Hub. And this is a cellular-based, GPS-enabled remote monitoring system for your boat. Now a quick word to the folks that follow the channel. I want to let you know, I don't ever accept any money to talk about anything on this channel, and I don't plan to. I've had emails from and other people that say, hey, we love your channel and we want to put stuff on it. That's not what I'm interested in doing. But what does interest me is looking at interesting, innovative marine products that I think will help me out in my refit, and possibly the viewers like you might also find interesting. If you have a boat that has an anchor, you're going to want to stick around. Let's see what we've got inside here. Okay, right away we've got basic instructions here. This looks like it's the power cable. That'll go directly onto the battery studs. And they're using these green 2-pin connectors. Looks like you can also change the leads there if you need to. This is the cellular antenna. So this goes somewhere in the boat. This has to face up so that it can get the cell signal. That probably is obvious. We've got a pair of wire leads here, and these are for monitoring another battery on board, or you can monitor a voltage for, say, a bilge pump. You want to see if your bilge pump is on or off, or another device is on or off. It can sense if it's got 12 volts on it or not. Okay, a couple of the brackets that hold the body of the unit down. And then this is the high water bilge alarm. So this alarm is triggered when the water level gets too high. You can opt to set this up as well. They all have the same connector, so you can mix and match these. This is the LTE antenna for the cellular network. And then in here, so there you go. So that is the brains of the unit. You see we've got 4 inputs along the bottom there. And then on the top, we have a GPS antenna, a cellular antenna, and then this little button here, which you can hopefully see, is apparently to silence the alarm if you like. And then there's some indicator LED lights on top. I'm told that all of this is made in the United States, which is really cool. So the enclosure is made here. All of the connectors are high quality, made here. And the board inside, which we can't see, is designed by the company in Oregon, manufactured locally, and assembled locally. So they have fully designed the circuit board. This is not an off-the-shelf solution. This is a one-off custom proprietary design. So that's pretty cool. One of the nice things about that is that since they're the software developers and they've developed the hardware, they have full control over how to utilize the product and how to perhaps see it grow in the future. So there is a Bluetooth chip inside this device, and it can communicate to your phone that way, as well as other third-party sensors. So they will be releasing a software update very soon that will allow you to connect to some other sensors. So the first input, you see the little battery logo there. That is committed to powering the device, and it also will monitor your main battery voltage. And this works on 12 or 24 volt systems. I think it's good up to 32 volts. There is also an onboard battery in here so that it can monitor and continue to send data for about 48 hours. If you've set it up properly with an alarm on your first input on the battery, you can set it so that if it gets below, say, 11 volts, it'll send you an alarm so you'll be aware that your batteries are draining and your charger, or whatever your situation, maybe your shore power cable, is not working. Now there are other solutions out there that can do all of this, and frankly, quite a lot more. And so if you really want full control of your vessel and ability to monitor, you want to look at one of those options instead. But if you just want to be able to monitor things, see how everything's going, this is a great solution. And this is $300, about a third of the cost, and the monitoring fee is a steal at $60 a year. So for $5 a month, you get to see up to 4 inputs on your boat, and possibly more if you get some wireless sensors in the future. So if you're interested in monitoring several key systems on your boat and don't want to break the bank, this might be a great solution for you. Setup was super easy. Once you've connected your subscription plan on the web app and plugged the device into power, everything springs to life. So we plugged this in downstairs in the basement to give it a little trial run, and of course it works just as you would expect, but I really want to try this out on a boat in a real world situation. Now our project is going to take a little while before we need something like this on board. So Antidote doesn't really need a GPS monitor or an anchor alarm right now. If I want to know where the boat is, I just look out my kitchen window. So to get this device in the real world and out on the water, I have an idea. Welcome to the Bellingham Marina. I'm going to introduce you guys to Odyssey. It's a 1987 Newport 30 Mark III, and it's a great little coastal boat, and it's going to be the perfect platform to try out a few things, including this roam monitor. So we're going to hook that up today, see how long that takes, and then we can keep an eye on that boat remotely, check in on this new system. Let's give it a try. All right, here we are, the Odyssey. Now, doesn't that just seem like an obvious missed opportunity at a clever, punny boat name? It's a shame. Now, let's get back to installing this device here on the boat. So the first thing we want to do is establish a good spot for it. So my batteries are right down here under this cushion. Get to those in a second. And then the electrical panel is here, and then I of course have my bilge pumps down in the center of the boat. So we're just going to try and get a nice central access point that's dry. So I think what we'll do is stick this guy right down in this area. This is sort of where the battery charger is, and it's central getting to and from the batteries for the wiring and stuff. On this boat, we just have the one 12-volt battery bank. We don't have a second battery bank to put on a second sensor. So we'll just use the one sensor, the high water alarm, and then of course the power to the unit. So this shouldn't be too bad, but those are famous last words. Let's see how this goes. I think maybe a picture is a good idea here to help explain how we're going to lay this all out. We're going to put the roam here. It's a nice central location and should have good cellular reception. Then the GPS antenna and the battery cable are a short and trivial run. Shouldn't be any problem at all. The hard part might be getting the high water bilge alarm and the bilge sense cable underneath the floor in this vicinity so that I can run the cable up to the bilge pump switch and then down into the bilge for the high water alarm. First thing we want to do here is get the battery power established to the device. So what we'll probably do here is just connect this right to the battery post, since it has these large terminals and it has its own fuse. So that's technically no problem. You wouldn't really want this to be on a switched line, because every time you turn it off you'll get a low battery warning. The automatic bilge switch for the boat is just around here. So I think if we come in through here, we'll be able to access the back side of it, and then we can pick up that voltage source to feed back to the device. So this is a nice clean place to put it, up out of the way. I don't want to be wiring anything into the bilge. So this boat has these molded floor liners instead of having regular hollow shell and transverse floors like Antidote is. We should hopefully be able to sneak some wires down under, slide them along the bottom of the hull between this floor liner. You can kind of see it here in the bilge. Pardon the mess, but you can actually feel under here there's a bit of a gap, and I think we'll be able to slide a wire under there. So I brought my electrical snake, so hopefully we can fish something through there. From there, underneath the floor, pop it up there. The tabbing between the floor liner and the rest of the boat here is a little bit more thorough than I would have anticipated. So it's been difficult to find a place to run some wires through. Now thankfully I have found one little cable chase here, and there's one cable that goes through, so I think we'll be able to hopefully get some more wires run through there. Alright, so we're going to try to run the wire from one side of the boat to the other underneath the floor, molded floor pan, with the fish tape. Now these are just a really simple piece of spring steel that allow you to run wires through complicated spaces because they have quite a lot of body to it. It can be directed somewhat easily, and then you can pull the wires back through. Now, I already shot this scene, and here's me checking the camera to make sure the camera's still running. All right, we're gonna try to get... So as you can see, it died seconds after I verified it was still working. So we missed all of this, all the audio, and I'm sure I had a lot of great jokes that I won't be able to recreate, just won't do them justice. The short of it is we were able to get this tape fished through. Now there was a very small opening. We were able to hit it, pull the wire through. This can often be one of the hardest parts of getting any kind of boat work done, is finding ways to route things where you want to go. This part here is the high water bilge emergency alarm that the Rome comes with. And this is a 3D printed part, which is pretty cool. The sensor here in the bottom looks like some sort of off-the-shelf unit, but the float, switch, and the bracket are all 3D printed. So it's really neat technology these guys are using to put this stuff together. And this is a really smart design here because this is normally closed. So if the switch goes open, meaning that the water level is too high, it'll trigger the alarm. But also if the connection were to get broken somehow, the alarm would trigger. So you have a fail-safe here. You know that if the switch stops working, it fails in such a way that you'll get a warning. So smart design. So now this we're going to put in the bilge here. I found this little pocket, and I don't really know what this is for. It looks like you might store things in here, but I can't think of anything I'd want to keep in this gross, shallow bilge. This happens to fit in perfectly, so we'll put a couple of screws in here to hold this in. I'm going to drill a small hole to let the wire through, as well as one at the very bottom to let any water out. So when water does rise in there, it will flood up through. And then, of course, if it does have an alarm and is evacuated, it will drain out. We've got these wires pulled through now, all the way from their various destinations to this area here. And I think this is where I want to put the main device. So I think with the antenna there pushed back, it'll fit in there nicely. And then I have good access to this. This is the button here where you silence the anchor alarm if you want to. So we'd be able to quickly react to that and silence that. And also it'll get pretty good cell reception here, I think. Stay out of the way mostly. So Rome sends these really cool 3D printed brackets along to hold the enclosure, and these are a perfect fit on the device and do a great job. Very cool. Now they don't ship with stainless steel fasteners, so of course I'm going to swap these out for some of my 316 stainless that I really like to use on everything in the boat, and that is going to mount up nicely to the bulkhead now. When we brought the device over, since we unplugged it from the main supply, the internal battery was able to detect a low voltage alarm, and now that clears as soon as we plug the device in, which is great. And then testing the high water bilge alarm, it took about 5 to 6 seconds for the whole thing to communicate back to my phone that the water level was reported as high. So I think that's a really acceptable result. Now the last thing to do is to hook up the wire that determines if the bilge pump is on or off. There's a couple ways you can do it. A lot of people will splice a wire by just putting one of these butt splice connectors in. You'll put 2 in one side and 1 on the other, and then crunch it down and off you go. And that will get the job done. These ones that I like to use are the ones that have the shrink wrap integrated, so you heat each end and it melts down, forms a nice seal. I think there's even some adhesive in there. Now you're still running the risk though of one wire pulling out, because when you crush the 2 wires, sometimes they don't quite seat right, and also the seal on the end won't be perfect. You don't really this would work, but also if you want to remove something later, now you got to cut the wires off, everything gets shorter. What I'm going to do today is use a terminal block, and so this, you can see I've already got it bridged here, and so I'll be able to hook up 3 wires and they'll basically all be connected, but anything can be removed quite easily. It's also going to make sure that nothing can pull out by accident. If there's a little bit of a tug on something, it's going to be secured with these ring terminals. And so these are also the shrink wrap version, and these are going to sit on the screws, and so everything will be nicely situated in there. This is definitely the Cadillac way to go. It's not super necessary, but it is going to make it a lot easier for me if I ever want to remove this wire in the future, or if I need to adjust something on the switch. Easy to take these on and off. Really great connection, super solid, lots of strain relief. Good way to go. Not that expensive. Well, I'm really happy with the way this install is going so far. Everything is testing out just perfectly. And I would have loved to have this on the boat last winter when we had a shore power connection issue and the batteries actually went completely flat. I'm not even sure how long that lasted for, so there's no doubt we did some irreparable harm to those batteries, and this would have prevented all of that. It would have let us know ahead of time. All we had to do was unplug the shore power cord and reinsert it, and that seemed to fix the problem somehow, for now. You ever have one of those issues just go away like that? Anyway, the last thing we want to do is to test the anchor alarm, and we could just move the pin on the map probably, but what's the fun in that? So we're going to take this boat out, and I think Bridget is here, and we're going to get this thing off the dock and give this anchor alarm a little test. Come on, baby. There she goes. Awesome. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, we're just hanging out here waiting for the anchor to do its thing, and Bridget has turned the boat into a padded room of sorts. All the cushions are on the ground. Bridget, what's going on? What are you doing, and why are there cushions all over the ground?
Well, we have a very old Chihuahua, and I am afraid he's gonna hurt himself with the waves. So I put all the pads,
So
like a padded.
Completely padded the room.
Yeah.
To be fair, Nico is a bit of a spaz. He doesn't know where he's going.
He's not smart.
He's not the smartest.
And I'm just doing double duty. I'm at my law externship right now, so I'm just working on emotion while we wait for the anchor to do its thing.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming out to help while we wait for the anchor. They've made it really easy to set the anchor alarm on this device, and if you want, you can always move it manually. You can adjust the circle diameter and the position of it. So you can see here that we're sort of on the edge of this circle that we originally drawn. When we dropped the anchor, we started the alarm, so that sort of put us right over the center of the chain. We've been hanging out here for about an hour, and as you can see, we've got a little cluster of points all on the edge. I think what we'll do now is let a bit of chain out and make sure that the alarm triggers. We don't have a whole lot of wind today, so we're not moving super fast. We'll see if we can get this boat to push over the line. Okay, the anchor alarm is now going off. You can hear it beeping inside the boat here, as well as my phone has been buzzing. And it's been going on and off a little bit as we've been on the line, but now we are definitely on the alarm here. So the alarm is audible. It wouldn't wake up your neighbors, but it'll definitely wake you out of a slumber if you have the unit close enough to your head. Now, I also got a ton of alerts on my phone as we were kind of skirting the line. So there's no question that if I was off the boat, out of sight, I would know it's time to go back and check on the boat. So that's really what I like about this device. It's the ability to check the anchor alarm while you're not on the boat, and you don't need two phones and crazy things like that. This device does a great job of that. So what are my thoughts on the Roam device vessel monitoring system? Well, it's made out of top shelf, American-made and specially designed components, and I really like that. They've gone above and beyond in the design and implementation of this device, and if you know me at all, I really like stuff like that. It's well supported by a couple of engineers in Oregon who are constantly thinking of new ways to improve on it. The RUVI sensors will be coming into the platform soon, so you'll be able to add a lot of extra sensors. The installation is super easy and straightforward. The device just works out of the box, which is really nice. The data plan is very affordable. That's another great thing about this device. There's a few things about the settings that I would like to be able to change that currently aren't available. Nothing that is at all a deal breaker. I think that as we communicate with the engineers in Oregon about some of the features and as a collaborative pool comes together, it's possible that we could see software changes pushed out. So I think this is going to be a well-supported device that's going to have a lot of growth opportunity. Standing alone as it is, it works really well at monitoring those imperative systems and letting you know on your phone whether you are on or off the boat if there's a problem that you want to take action on. If you've ever been off your boat, maybe on a little island somewhere and just out of sight, it can be kind of nerve-wracking. So it is nice to have that peace of mind that this device can give you. And the coverage is very good in North America, Canada, Australia is good, lots of Europe. So maybe check with them if you aren't in the local area, but they have a lot of devices out there. Now Rome was super generous in that they gave me this device to test. It was my request. I reached out to them because I saw their product online and thought that looks like a pretty cool device to put on this very boat. So they've also given me 1 free year of monitoring worth about $60. And so I'm very thankful for that. And now if you are interested in getting one of these devices, before we do a long-term review, they are offering the first 100 people that want to grab one of these a coupon for $20 off. So that's pretty cool. The coupon code is livingforsail, or you can use the link down below and that'll automatically put it in for you. If you're new to the channel today and you'd like to get caught up from the very beginning, I made this playlist for you which has all the episodes in order. That's right here. And if you'd like to subscribe and you are not yet, then you can push the button right in the middle over there. Thanks a lot. We'll see you in the next one. If you're new to the channel today and you'd like to get caught up from the very beginning, there is a playlist for you right here. And